Episode 4. Sorry, my PC isn't being good to me right now. Guess I need to do a reboot after this video recorded. Anyway, episode 4. Due to the seriousness of bringing the island into space, can I just remind you? Island, space. Sorry, still not gone over that. The captain is planning to save the bunker on the island rather than going to help the ships first. Which I guess makes sense since, I mean, they're literally having to save lives. And it's their fault that the civilians even got into space in the first place, so, you know, might as well be nice. In the meantime, Hotshot is trying to free his ship from the entanglement of wires that he left it in the end of the last episode. But he's not strong enough, and Minmay suggests calling for help since they're on a ship. They're on the Macross. They should be able to send a message out. Except Hotshot finds out that the communicator is damaged, which means they are trapped for a while. A long while. At this point, they start to explore the ship. Minmay confusing the mathematical compass with the geographical one. Like, she was confusing the one that you use to draw circles, and not the north, south, east, west kind. It's kind of cute, honestly. Bless her heart. Minmay touches some pipes and moans from them. It wasn't a scream, it was very much a moan. And at this point, I want to point out that this episode is basically Minmay gets sexualized. It's I'm not sure how to feel about this. On the one hand, she's an anime character. She's the main female protagonist. But on the other hand, I don't know how old she is. She looks young. She acts young. It's not as creepy because it's Hotshot, who's definitely younger than Boca. But it's definitely very, very creepy for me to start thinking about her that way. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. Um, while Hotshot is berating her, I guess, for being clumsy, he trips on nothing in the middle of the hallway. karma, bitch. That's all I can say about that. Meanwhile, on the bridge, Bokker's communicating with them about the location of Hotshot and Minmay, and the captain tells him stop bothering them. They're a bit busy taking care of the many rather than the few. Which on the one hand makes him seem a bit cold-hearted, but on the other hand is absolutely fair. Meanwhile, back with Hotshot and Minmay, they find a lit up room at the end of a corridor, inside which they find an airlock to the outer space, which is big enough for a giant. So, are we supposed to assume that the Macross was built for giants? Because that's kind of weird. Minmay doesn't notice the airlock, or doesn't really put two and two together, and instead goes looking out. Well, goes around the corner and looks out into space and sees cars, of buildings, plants floating by. Because remember, island space! I'm not going to get past this, am I? Holy shit. Back on the bridge, there's a coffee break, which is almost immediately over. I mean, they do have to deal with, saving civilians. It's a completely pointless scene that establishes nothing other than mentioning that they could communicate with the people on the surface through radio waves, but that would alert the enemies to their position, so it's not looking good. Back with Minmay and Hotshot, the lovey-dovey couple. Minmay has a hurt leg, apparently. That's healed right up. Never mentioned before, never mentioned again. Just completely skipped over. No idea. It's not even visible. It's so dumb. Minmay needs a drink. Hotshot remembers the pipes from earlier, which were dripping liquid. Luckily, Elliot's water, and they go together to break the pipes. And Minmay suggests that she takes a shower in the middle of a corridor. And Hotshot just stares at her. He just stares at her. What the fuck, anime? What the fuck, Japan? So yeah, she at least has the sense to go, hey, can you make a screen for me so that don't peek? And he does. Except there's um a block of metal next to the makeshift screen that, like, I'm going to be completely honest, it conveniently has holes in it. So obviously he would try to go and peek through at her. However, the moment that he looks through one of the holes, she screams. In a rush, he forgets courtesy and just runs back through the back through the screen that they made, and she's just standing there in the water with her clothes on, glaring at him. She knew. She completely plays him like a chump. And by the way, he is a total chump throughout all of this. Anyway, he leaves again, gives her the privacy she deserves. And we start off with a shot of her feet. Given everything that's going on with the revelations over at Nickelodeon right now on the internet, I don't want to think about feet. By the way, fuck Dan Snyder. Creepy fucking weirdo. Anyway, it then pans up. We get a shot of her butt, which, again, I'm not entirely sure how I feel about this. On the one hand, pretty good booty. On the other hand, what the fuck, Japan? I don't want to think about. I mean, I'm trying to watch anime, do not feel horny. Why make me feel horny? I don't want to feel horny when watching anime. If I wanted to watch something while feeling horny, I would just watch hentai. I'm just saying. Um. Oh, fuck. Anyway, Hotshot goes get some food and clothes for them to wear once they're done showering and stuff. And to put it simply, Minmay is cute. Like, she's adorable. I don't see her as a sex object. I see her as an absolute sweetheart. She should be protected at all costs. They do that classic scene where Min Mei falls asleep on Hotshot's shoulder, but a rat climbs down her arm. He wakes up, and then Hotshot gets blamed like this was a horror anime, which, bruh, really? Really? Space anime, you're gonna put horror elements in. Fuck you. Anyway, she sees the rats in her own blanket. She immediately goes back over to Hotshot and falls asleep on his shoulder again. And that's the end of day one. Like, the first 3.5 episodes all take place in the span of a day. It's insane. And then after the break, we get a montage with Min-Mei doing a daily tally on Hotshot's spaceship thing, which he doesn't take that well, but he'll buff out. It's fine, he'll buff out. Hotshot hits his head on pipes while exploring repeatedly by himself. Thank God. It would be embarrassing if Min-Mei saw that. And meanwhile, Min-Mei cooks, and then they go to sleep. And then suddenly, 8 days in with no progress towards escaping, Hotshot is considering leaving the Macross through an airlock from earlier to go get help with a quote unquote airtight helmet. But basically, he wants to die and save Min-Mei. From seeing him explode in space. I don't like it. Min-Mei brings up the whole no oxygen tank thing, and his response is, don't worry about it. I'll just hold my breath for the 2-3 minutes. He really wants to die that badly. Considering how the other option would have been stay together in the dark and die together, he really wants to go and die alone. Which is infuriating. But suddenly Min-Mei screams as she sees a giant fish floating by outside a window. Because island space! The first thing that comes to mind is dinner, because Of course they would. They're running out of food, and they're running out of um. They're running out of food. They're running out of time and options. So Hotshot changes his plan slightly. He doesn't go out, get back into the Macross through a different airlock. He goes outside and grabs the fish, and actually manages to grab the fish, and makes it back inside while not breathing. Barely. But he fucked up majorly. Instead of finding a handhold like the tail, he grabs it from underneath. Meaning that once the fish hits the gravity, the artificial gravity from the ship, that just bang. He gets trapped underneath it briefly. Still manages to crawl out and back to the door to bang on it. So that Min-Mei can close the airlock, close the outer airlock, open the inner door, allow him to get his helmet off. Not like that, you filthy perverts. And he made it. He's safe. But the fish wasn't so lucky. The outer door cut off the head. So the body is now stuck outside. And all that's left is the head. Which would be fine if that was the only issue. I mean, they've got some more food. That's fine. But in the process, Hotshot's suit got ripped as well. So even if they wanted to try that again, they wouldn't be able to. Min-Mei points out that they could blast a hole in the ceiling with the ship to, get out somewhere else and get through to another part of the ship. But Hotshot points out that they've been using the fuel for cooking. Which... what the fuck? Why didn't they come up with that sooner? Meanwhile, above deck, there's some gossiping over breakfast. It's nothing too important. Whatever. Back with the couple, Hotshot is telling Min-Mei stories about Fokker and his antics with women. Basically warning her against him, which is funny, but also kind of awkward in retrospect. Thanks, Rick Mignogna, for making this so awkward. idiot. And then Min-Mei starts singing. And there's a quick cut away to the tally of how many days they've been trapped. 12. They've survived 12. They confide that they've impressed each other with their skill set, their skill sets. And Min-Mei admits to wanting to be a bride. Like that's her ambition in life. Just be a bride. And then begins this typical line of thinking where this couple that have been stuck together for so long with no outside contact and are about to die are about to get together. They do it well enough, but nowadays it's overdone. She's worried that she won't be a wife before she dies. Hotshot basically just proposes to her. She just doesn't want to die alone. Because dying alone sucks. Trust me, I've done it often enough. Hotshot admits, well, Hotshot calls himself pathetic, which is absolutely fair. They hug. They go in for a kiss. And then an enemy missile breaks through the ceiling. Like, just drops through from above. Interrupting the kiss just as they were about to seal the deal. Fuck you! Anyway, looking through the hole that the enemy ship has caused are these islanders. Like Min-Mei's family and friends. And the mayor from the first episode. They're just all peering down at these two. And it turns out that they've been building the city that was on the island on the ship in an empty space. 1-for-1 recreation. Which is incredible. How did they get the resources? How did they manage to find paint? How did they set up a sewage system? How? Anyway, they get pulled out of the hole. Min-Mei finds her family. And Hotshot's just left shocked and confused about Min-Mei going from accepting death with him to being happy that she's found her family again. What the fuck was this episode? Like that, there were a lot of, characters. There was a lot of characters development here, but holy shit. I don't want to call it filler, but a lot of it felt like filler. Hopefully there'll be more action in tomorrow's video. See ya then!